everybody. Welcome to Northgate Beyond. My name is James Shook, or Pastor James to most.
Exactly.
I have the privilege of sitting here with Senior Pastor Chad Kirk.
That's me. Hello, everybody.
A.K.A. Pastor Kirk.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
That's me.
Just want to make sure you agree.
Yes.
All right. Well, we
Pastor.
have, or actually, Pastor Chad came up with the idea and kind of floated it out there to kind of switch things up a little bit and maybe get a podcast going that will go along with our specifically dedicated to the church and the efforts that we're trying to do there.
Right.
And maybe something we could do is dive in a little deeper into Sunday's message, maybe dig into a little bit of Wednesday, and maybe expound on it a little bit, give some little more insight, a little something else that we're doing, and catch everybody up in what's happening. So
Yeah, that was the whole idea, is that we got a brand new year, 2023.
Yep.
We're in it now, and we wanted to do more and give people a chance throughout the week, so that they're not just getting one message on Sunday or Wednesday, but it actually can keep it fresh. So we're hoping that this is what this podcast will do, that people can listen to it and say, oh, you know what, Sunday was 2 days ago, so I'm going to listen to the podcast and kind of refresh what else is there, to kind of just dig deeper, and
well, the goal would be to have these, try to do these on Monday, or have it ready to go for a Monday, or very least something like that. That'd be the goal. I don't know. It maybe we'll stick into Thursdays
right
after Wednesday service. Then we can kind of go back, touch on Sunday, and a little bit on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Kind of give you a refresher if you missed it, or a refresher if you were there, and then an overview if you weren't there, if you missed it. You can always log on to YouTube,
right,
Northgate Church
of God.
Church of God YouTube channel, and check out the sermons there, where they're video and audio. So, or most of them anyway. I think there's a few just audios.
Yes.
And when the camera works, it works. When it doesn't want to, it
has
a good union rep. I tell you that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when it doesn't want to do anything, it don't have to.
It doesn't. Yeah, it works
There's
great.
not
sometimes.
much we can do about it. We are helpless.
Yeah, we're kind of subject to our technology.
Yeah. So where did this Beyond concept come from?
Yeah, well, that's the thing that every beginning of the year, I try really hard to say, okay, what is the church going to focus on this year? What's going to kind of be our goal for the year? I've tried to do that every year of my ministry, really, and really try to pray and really get. I use the word get a vision for the church. I don't mean like seeing things. I just mean a place where you want to go. Something that you want to bring the church into, and when I was thinking about it and really praying about it, I kept on getting like, well, you need to go further. You need to challenge yourself to do more and be more. And beyond, I wrestled with the name of what I was going to title the message on Sunday, because that was our first Sunday of the year, about beyond, because I thought, well, maybe pushing through, and I really wanted to stay away from the word breakthrough, because when people think breakthrough,
it's been overused.
Yeah, and
especially in a church church area or arena.
Yeah, and the whole concept,
vision, focus, overdone.
And plus, to me, it gives the wrong connotation of what I was trying to say, or what I feel like God's trying to tell us. Because usually when people throw that word breakthrough around, they're talking about like a personal breakthrough, like I'm going to break through and get more money this year. It's always something that. And to me, this whole Beyond concept is, we know God is going to be good. God is going to be great to us all the time. God's going to be His absolute best for us. That's a given, always.
Yes.
So it's not like God is going to be any better to us this year than He's ever been,
right?
Because He's always been great,
right? Now, yes, I totally get that.
You
I totally.
Like,
yes,
it's not like God's holding back from
breakthroughs.
us.
Shows that you're coming from like maybe a sinful life or a life before, like BC, before Christ.
Yeah.
and you're breaking through. And that makes more sense.
Right.
But God's at his best, and always.
Always.
And his word is forever, and he is for us, then that's just
Right.
the facts. He's for you.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. That's just how it is. So going beyond, like even our own understanding,
Right.
you know, I like it. I mean,
it's
I think
really
it's a
the
good
challenge
idea.
for us to go beyond what we've been.
Absolutely.
Like, are we giving our best, and how do we up that? How do we go beyond where we've been in the past, and to really push ourselves and challenge ourselves as individuals, but also as a church, as Northgate, to say, how can we be a better church in 2023 than we were in 2022? How can we do things better, minister better,
right?
Reach people more, do things, and it really is a challenge. And that's kind of where that beyond came from. Is let's accept the challenge to do our part, to be our best for Him, because we know He's going to be His best for us. Let's do our part, and it starts with little things. It starts with just little steps and little things, just like any project you take on, like they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
So you just, challenge yourself wherever you are. And we've come up with different concepts. And for all of this year, we're going to have Beyond challenges every week. Every Sunday, I'm going to announce a Beyond challenge for the church. Like this past Sunday, our Beyond challenge was Galatians 5:22 and 23, which is just a scripture. But the challenge was go home, read that, talk to God about it, because it's the fruit of the Spirit. It's the fruit of the Spirit. How do you go on beyond, your love? How to go beyond in your joy? How to go beyond in your self-control? How do you go beyond in your gentleness? How do you go beyond and really pray and ask God all week long, like, okay, God, help me to go beyond in this. I know where I've been. I know how much, these things have meant to me. And maybe you're starting from scratch. Maybe you don't know the Lord at all, and you're starting from scratch. Okay, well, God introduced me to these. Take me beyond where I'm at and show me your love. Show me your joy. Show me your peace. Show me these things. So it's really a challenge for everybody. And we want to keep doing that. And as the year goes, what I'm hoping, what I have in my mind, is that as the year goes on, we will have pushed ourselves beyond where we were last year, and really grown in the Lord, in our relationship with Him, and really grown as a church too.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not moving forward. I mean, if you're not moving forward, you're standing still. If you're standing still with the Lord, then you're kind of falling behind.
Right.
So it's going beyond what you think or what we've experienced or what we've done and going further.
Right.
And I think it's it's definitely a great concept. It's a great idea, and it's really something that we can latch onto and something to focus on over the coming year and months and even beyond.
Right.
So, yeah, no, I like it. It's really good. So maybe we could, maybe for a few minutes here, kind of go over what we talked about or what you talked about on Sunday.
Sure.
And maybe give a little overview of what you talked about, the examples you used, the verses you read. Now, of course, you don't have to read all of them, or we don't have to go through them, whatever, but we don't want to preach it again. If you want to hear it, go to YouTube, Northgate Church of God. Go check it out. But if you, just a little overview and kind of a reminder of the high points, so that anybody who's listening will kind of be refreshed in it, and those who missed it, a quick overview.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be that quick, but
yeah. Well, Sunday, our message was entitled Beyond, because that was, we were introducing it to the church, introducing it to all you guys. And the message, the scriptures that I used was just the story of Zacchaeus. The story of Zacchaeus out of Matthew, and the story of Zacchaeus is very well known if you grew up in church. If not, Zacchaeus was a tax collector, and he wanted to get a spot. Jesus was coming through town, and he wanted to see him. Jesus was a big-time spectacle at this point, very popular.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And so for him coming through town was a big deal. So Zacchaeus wanted to see him, but Zacchaeus was a short guy. So Zacchaeus climbed a tree in order to see Christ, And of course, Christ noticed him in the tree and said, Zacchaeus, come down. I'm going to go to your house and going to have a meal with you. And it changed Zacchaeus' whole life. Zacchaeus gave up half his wealth. Zacchaeus paid back all of the people he had cheated on taxes 4 times over. And that was the story from the Bible that I was preaching on. And the points that I brought out of that was that the Bible says that Zacchaeus got ahead of the crowd. He went beyond the crowd, and that was a thing that
you ran ahead.
We want to go beyond the crowd in 2023.
Yeah.
We don't want to be just people who mix into the crowd.
Mixed in the crowd, yeah.
So we want to go beyond that. He changed his level because he couldn't see.
Yeah.
So he had to climb the tree in order to change his level. That's something that we want to do. We want to go beyond where we're at, our level right now. We want to climb higher. And by doing that, he really opened the door for one of the greatest blessings anybody can have, was an experience with the Lord that he'd never had. If he wouldn't have gone beyond, he would have never opened the door for that opportunity. And to me, that's the concept of where we want to go. Like, the reason why, as a pastor, that I'm wanting to push the church and really encourage them to go beyond is because I'm hoping and believing that it's going to open up personal experiences with the Lord that they haven't experienced to this point.
Right.
Not saying you never experienced the Lord, but just open you to a new opportunity. It got the Lord's attention. Now, we know the Lord we have his attention all the time. We know that. But I want to be, and I hope our church wants to be, a group of people who want to grab the Lord's attention by what we're doing, through our obedience, through our efforts, through our work, that the Lord notices us and says, hey, you know what? They're not just going to church and going home. They're actually doing something. Yeah. And to me, that's the whole concept of Beyond. And because of that, that was basically the whole message in a nutshell, is when we choose to make things and go beyond, it leads to other opportunities for us to keep on going beyond. It started with him running ahead of a crowd and climbing a tree. It ended with him going way beyond what the Lord asked him to do. He said, I'm going to give away half my wealth. Yeah. That was a crazy beyond. Yeah. And I'm going to pay back people 4 times. Yeah. What I took. That's way beyond. The more you start this pattern of going beyond, it just leads to more opportunities for you to go beyond and beyond. Yeah. And then at the end of the story, the Lord makes that great declaration that salvation has come to this home. Yeah. And it was because of his effort. You know? Yeah. But that's kind of the message in a nutshell. And that's where the concept is going this year.
Well, I mean, the idea of going beyond, I mean, you're not going to outdo God, obviously, and you've said that. Right. You're not going to be able to outwork him or paint him in a corner where he has no choice but to do something for you. You know, that a lot of people, I've heard sermons, I've heard so many messages where that was kind of like the emphasis. Yeah. You want to force God's hand? Like, you know, that really irritates me, you know? Right. Like, but, you know, the evangelical church is really big on this emotional part of it. And it kind of runs into the stuff like that sometimes. And we paint a picture of God like he's some sort of, like he's equal. Yeah. And almost subservient in some way. Right. And it's really, like, crazy. But there are things, this is my opinion, let me know what you think. There are levels that you get to go to with God, and maybe I should rephrase it in saying, like, there are levels you get to go to in God, in his word, and in his understanding of him. Yeah. In a new understanding of him, maybe seeing him in a different light, that only comes with sacrificial things. Yeah, absolutely. Like living and operating in worship and what you do. Because I know, because I know from my own life. Mm-hmm. Like, I've known God. I grew up in church. My parents brought me to church, and my family's big into church, and it's like a family thing. And sure, it's not like it's something new or foreign to me. And yet, when I lived life by my standard and ran it my way and did things how I wanted to do them, there's a certain way that, I mean, I knew God. Right. I knew he existed. I don't think there's a time in my life when I'm like, no, he ain't real. Right. Even at my lowest, I'm thinking like maybe he doesn't, maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm gonna still act like it is because I don't know, man. I don't want to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on the other side of it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And then, he just gets a hold of your heart, and then it changes everything. And it's like, you know what I'm doing doesn't matter, and how I'm living isn't working.
Right.
What I'm doing doesn't matter, and it really is about like, how do I give him everything? And it's like you drop everything and you run after, all right, Lord, show me this,
Right?
exactly. Or let's do this together, or like, I want to learn this, or I want to do that, and how do I show this to other people, and how do I sacrifice my own wants? And it really is wants because it's not needs,
Right, sure.
It's wants, and put that on the back burner, and be like, I'm not even going to think about that. I'm not going to pressure. I'm not going to pray on it. I'm not even. I mean, I'll throw some prayers that way, but I'm not going to just fast and pursue and kind of moan over this thing. I'm going to let it go. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something. I'm going to give up my time. I'm going to give up my schedule. I'm going to give up my dream, my whatever.
Right.
I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to be like, you know what? How do I help these people? How do I help this person?
Right.
And that really became like a part of my life that it was a very hard thing for me to understand until I actually did it.
Right.
So I thought like, well, I mean, how much more can I possibly know about him?
Yeah.
And then you start doing things sacrificially, and it's just like you get to a whole new, just understanding of God, what that means. And it's like how little we are. Right. How small and short my life is, and how insignificant, I can make it. But with God, how much of an impact I could have, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, that he could have through me. And I mean, I'm taking no credit. It's all God,
Right, sure.
But like how much my life could impact other people's.
Yes.
So, going beyond, like that means, like, in my opinion, like where we're headed with this, it's not about going beyond in blessings and going beyond in receiving. Because, what good is that going to, in the end, what good does it do, right?
Exactly.
It just kind of gives us more of an excuse not to give money or not to give to other people. Right. Or it gives us another excuse not to go to church. Exactly. Like, look how blessed I am. Yeah. Maybe I don't need to go. Exactly. You know what I mean? And like, there's times when I feel that way. Like, how many times do I really need to attend? Right. Yeah. Like, is there a sabbatical I could just go on for a while?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not. I used to go to church because I was afraid what people would think if I didn't go. Right. That part has died off. Yeah. And more or less now it's like, well, what if I miss something? Exactly. It's what if I miss an opportunity, not just to receive from God, but to be someone to ask that question that they were afraid to ask somebody else, but because God can use me for that moment, I was born in 1980 for this moment right here. Exactly. That's how I like to think of them. You know what I mean? And it's such an honor. But to go beyond, I believe it's like it's going beyond our own, what we think we're capable of doing, and stop doing, not going beyond what we think we're capable of doing, going deeper into a relationship with God by doing things that we know that like we just knew before we wouldn't be able to. Right. Or we knew I just can't. I could do this. Yeah. I can do X and Y, but Z, not on the table. You can't do this. And it's really like, then there's only going to be so much that you can get out of your relationship with God and with people. Right. Sure. And until you're ready to give up of yourself and going beyond you. Right. That's what I've been thinking about a lot lately. Yeah. A lot for the past, month or so, probably more. But not just that, but like that, where the challenge ultimately, it comes to, right. You are you wanting to go beyond where you've gone before. And how do we do that? We do that when we, pursue God more in ways that we, haven't done before,
Yeah, and to me, the scripture that comes to my mind is when Jesus told people that if you find your life here, you'll surely lose it. Yeah. But if you lose your life, then you'll surely find it. Yeah. And I think that lines up with everything you just said, is that when we make our relationship with God all about us and all about what we need and all about our wants and and bless me here, God, bless me there. Make sure I'm healthy. Make sure I got money. Make sure I never have a bad day. Make sure, every day is a wonderful day. Then it's all about us.
Yeah.
It's all self-centered. And I think that's the total opposite of what Christ wants us to be.
Yeah.
Christ wants us to be selfless.
Yeah.
Not selfish.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And to me, this Beyond thing that we're doing is to push people into that mode of thinking of like, what can I do in my day that I've taken for myself, but I could actually give a little bit of it to God.
Mm-hmm.
I could watch a little less TV and spend a little more time in the Word, or you know what, instead of just scrolling on the internet or Facebook or Twitter or whatever, I could reach out to somebody and invite them to church or tell them about Jesus, or there's a million ways to do it. There's no one cookie cutter place. And everyone's got strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
I mean,
those are the definitely easiest ones.
Yeah,
like instead of doing this, I'm going to pray for the wall.
Yeah.
Or instead of doing that, I'm going to read some of the Bible.
Right.
Instead of doing that, I'm going to meditate and think on
exactly.
what I read earlier.
Yeah.
That's what you should be doing anyway.
Exactly.
Like, honestly, that's not going beyond. That's bare basic stuff.
Yeah.
And when those things aren't done, of course, you're going to have a very weak relationship with God. You're going to have a very weak existence and a very weak, presence in the church or in the life of other people that need you.
Right. And I'm hoping by introducing this the way we are, if you are somebody, because I don't want you to feel like we're dogging you. If you are someone who's like, well, man, I don't really pray and I don't really read and I don't really do these things. Well, here's your opportunity to go beyond and to start somewhere and push yourself to go beyond and become someone who does and become somebody who you never know what God's got waiting on the other side for you. And the experiences that he has for you, because me and you, we're pastors. Mm-hmm. We didn't get here overnight. It wasn't just like we fell over, like, oh yeah, you want to be the pastor? Okay, do it. No, there was a lot of sacrifice. There was a lot of putting yourself on the back burner and being a servant to the Lord until the Lord opened that door and said, okay, now's the time for you to step up there and I'm going to use you to help other people. And I think ultimately most Christians, that's what they want. They want to be used of God. Well, if you want to be used of God, then you have to serve God.
Right.
And you have to be faithful to him. Mm-hmm. And when you do that and you're obeying God and you're giving of yourself and God sees your effort that you're giving, and that's something I think people don't really understand, is Jesus watches effort. Mm-hmm. He doesn't just be like, oh, did they show up? Yep. Okay, check mark. They showed up. No, God's looking at effort. It's not about just getting in the building on Sunday. It's about what are you doing when you're there.
Well, what is the right heart?
Yeah, exactly. What's
you can be
the
the hardest worker in there.
Sure.
And be there for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
If
it's all about your glory.
I have to work hard because that's going to get me credit with God, And we know people like, people like that.
Yeah.
I know people like that. And I have been that person. Like, I've been there. Like, you're not going to find this door open and I'm not here.
Yeah.
Like, it don't work that way.
Right.
And for a long time, I thought like that's how it should have been done. And that's how you really know.
Yeah.
Now that brings a lot of glory to what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Type thing. And that was like the whole point. Bring attention to it. Bring weight to what you say and do. And the only way you do that is get the right attention. And you get that by earning people's respect and blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And really, my goodness, was I so far off.
Yeah.
Not too far, but at the same time,
right.
Like whose respect do I want?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. And that means that you have to tell these people no until that happens. And so, anyway. Yeah. It gets, and we're not dogging.
Right. All. Sure.
It's not a make fun of. It's a challenge. It's a warning.
Yeah. Warning. Challenge.
That's it. It is a challenge, but it's most importantly a warning.
Right.
Because like, as we go along here, we don't know when the last day is.
Right.
We don't know when the trumpets will sound. We don't know when Jesus' return comes. What we do know is that it is going to be significantly and intensively, like way crazy hard to be able to do this after.
Right.
And we don't even know what that's going to look like.
Right.
We have no I don't know. I've read books, I've seen movies, I've read scripts, whatever.
Exactly.
I have an idea, Maybe.
It's kind of unknown.
But I don't want to know.
Right.
And I don't want to experience it. And I don't want to be here
Right.
then.
Yeah, me neither.
I want to be gone.
Yeah.
I don't want to see anything that comes when the devil's really in control down here.
Exactly.
I don't want to see that at all. So, but bottom line, I mean, I want to be where he is, and as soon as I can be.
Right.
As in, like, when my time comes and when he comes. Like, I want that to happen.
Right.
You know, I can't wait. I heard a song today. Like, I cannot wait to smell the air of heaven. You know,
Right.
Sounds poetic, sounds good, whatever. I just can't wait to be with him.
Exactly.
Like, I got to know. But the warning is, like, if we don't push ourselves to give up of ourselves so that he can be used in the way that he wants to be used, or so that we can be used the way he wants to use us. There you go. That makes more sense. And that the Word of God and the Church of Christ is being used in the way that he wants to use it, then I just don't. What can be accomplished will just be another church sitting in a neighborhood that done nothing for X amount of years. Really, it's just us four, no more. And blah, blah. But I mean, the great thing I know about our church, the great thing we know about Northgate is that it is growing, and there's rumbles. You know what I mean? Like something's moving, something's happening, and there's such a loving people.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
Love is there, acceptance is there,
right?
A desire to reach their brothers and sisters is there.
Yeah.
But the challenge has to keep going forward.
Yes.
That you don't just stop with inviting friends to church, but it's what's going to cost me.
Right.
Like, something's got to be paid.
Exactly.
I have to sacrifice something, and I'm not talking about paychecks.
Right.
It's something you have to sacrifice about yourself. Like, something in you has to go. Yeah. It's got to go. Like, something that's mine is going to have to leave. It's going to have to be sacrificed. And usually it's time. Time is the most important thing. And or one of the most important things, and that your heart is in the place. Like, Lord, use this. Right. You know, I don't have a lot, but what I have is some time. And what time I have, I'm going to give to you today. I'm going to give to you right now. And Lord, just use it in some way. Use it in love. Lord, use it in however that this can be used. It be for you, Lord. Right. And you just watch how God can use that type of person, or that personality, or that type of decision making. Yeah. You know, when you're willing to sacrifice you, right, there's no limit to what God can do. Yeah, God. And as a church, it's a good thing to come to church and to listen to your sermons and listen to the podcasts, and fantastic. But if you're not going to sacrifice of yourself, right, whoever you are listening, if you're not willing to sacrifice, then what can you expect? You can listen to every message. Oh yeah, and have all the knowledge. But but how can God use that heart that just refuses to give up of itself? You know what I mean? Exactly. So it is a challenge, and it is a warning. Yeah. We love you. And we want to see the best for our church and for our people, and whoever you are that's listening today. We want the best for you. But we can tell you with 1,000% of honesty and assuredness that the best life you could possibly live is a life lived for God. Right. Absolutely. In obedience to His Word. So, anyway, but going beyond what you think is possible, God can take you there. Oh, yeah. God can take us to some places that we just can't fathom, can't think about, can't even possibly imagine. To Him who is able. Exactly. To give exceedingly and abundantly above all we could possibly think or imagine. Exactly. That's God. God does that. That is beyond. Right. But you can only truly enjoy it, see it, experience it. There's a lot of coattail riders. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of little hitchhikers along the way. Sure. But that season of my life is over. I want to be in the forefront. I want to be in the middle of it. Yeah. And I want to see what God's doing. And I want God to use us and use me. But that comes when I'm ready to sacrifice me. Right. When James dies and Christ is born again in me. You know, when that stuff happens, then it's a big deal. But we got, sacrifice is required. Takes us to a new depth with God. I think it's possible.
I agree. Absolutely. 100%
absolutely.
agree.
Zacchaeus is a great example.
Mm-hmm.
He worked his whole life. He was willing to trade, be a betrayer.
Yeah.
Betray his family.
Yeah.
And friends, aunts and uncles.
Exactly.
Cousins.
Just to get ahead.
Just screw them over to get money.
Yeah.
For money.
Yeah, to get rich.
And got rich. And he heard one conversation, one thing, Jesus, one little moment.
Right.
With Jesus changed everything.
Changed his whole life.
And he was ready to sacrifice it all because what I have doesn't measure to what I could have in you.
Exactly.
So whatever this is in the way, it's got to go. I'm going to take away half my money, give it away. The rest I'm going to use to pay back 4 times whatever I took.
Yeah.
Uncle Bobby, hey, here you go.
Here you go.
Here's 4 times what I took. Hey, Aunt Sally, here's 4 times what it took.
Yeah.
And then, all right, what can I do?
Exactly.
You stay here, and I'm going to go do stuff, whatever. You just be that guy. Okay, you got it,
Right.
He was so willing. But how many encounters are there?
Yeah.
Of people that did the exact thing. Put down your nets and come with me.
Exactly.
Follow me. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. I hate being a fisherman anyway.
Right.
And followed him and sacrificed every moment. And now, and here we are thousands of years later. We still know who they are. We still know their name.
Still know
and
them.
their contribution to the church. That's how important God made them.
Right.
To us and to the movement and to what we do. But sacrifice is required.
Yep.
It's such a big deal.
Right. Yeah.
Bigger than we think.
And I think a lot of David has one of the greatest lines to me in the Bible when
he's got some good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But when he went to make sacrifice, and he went to a person's threshing floor. And he was like, I'm going to use your threshing floor to make a sacrifice. And because he was King David, the guy was like, well, here, use my goats, use my lambs. Here, I'll give you the sacrifice. Yeah. And David said, no.
What good's I going to do?
He's like, I won't worship the Lord unless it costs me something.
Yeah.
And
it has to cost
that
me
was
something. What
profound. Because David would have been like, oh yeah, go ahead, keep my money in my pocket,
yeah,
do it.
What a good, you sir,
yeah,
you, hey you,
yeah.
It cost you a lot today,
yeah,
and we want to thank you for your sacrifice, that we're all going to enjoy today. Thank you. And that's the depth of it,
right?
And just because he didn't have to pay money on the goat or pay money on the cow,
exactly,
then everything was fine, but not in David's heart,
right?
Not in David's heart.
And
love that line.
It's great.
Yeah.
It shows his heart. It shows man, he wanted to serve God and wanted it to make it count.
Yeah.
And to me,
it has to impact me
somehow.
Or how can it impact me?
Yeah.
It's like a double thing.
Right.
Like it has to impact me on one side of me so that the other side of me is truly impacted by what God's doing.
Right. Absolutely.
It has to impact my bank account so that I can let go of that thing, because in so many of our lives,
right,
it's the most important thing to us.
Sure.
Now, I'm not saying turn around and give all your money to the church.
Sure.
Because that's not going to change anything either.
Right.
But don't be attached to it.
Right.
And use it for the glory of God. That means with your neighbors, your friends, your family, whoever, people you work with, and using it in a way to open a door,
right,
to get to that place where you can show.
Yeah.
Where you can show them or explain Jesus, or maybe be there for them or bring them to church or whatever. And that's great.
Yeah.
But it should cost. This walk with God should cost us.
Yes, it should.
Bottom line.
Should.
It hurts, and it's scary
to
think of but really it's just ego. It's like your own reputation.
Yeah.
What's this going to cost me? What are people going to think of me? The more you sit and ponder it, it's like, oh gosh, I can't stand what people are going to think of me when this happens. It's going to be pretty embarrassing if they look out there and see my truck being towed away.
Right, yeah.
That would be embarrassing. But bottom line, if God gave it to me, he allowed that to happen.
Right.
Was it the right trigger? I don't know. I just pulled it because it was really pretty. So I wanted it. Now, if he wants to take it, then he can.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Right.
But I'm in his service, and it's not the other way around. It has to cost me. This walk with God has to cost me.
Yeah.
It has to.
And if people could just get in their head, and so many church people I know that are listening to this will agree with what I'm saying, and agreeing with it has to be the first point, but then acting on it the second.
Right.
If people understood that everything God gives us, everything,
Mm-hmm.
if we can turn it into service and worship of Him,
Yes.
He will give you more of it.
Right.
Because He deserves praise and He deserves honor.
Yes.
And the way He gets honor and praise is from us. He gets glory from us. Now, He doesn't need it from us, but He receives it from us. He's glorious by Himself.
Yeah.
It's not like we add to it. But God desires praise and desires worship.
Yeah.
And whatever God gave you, and I'm not just talking about material things. Yeah, if God gives you money, you should try and use that money to worship and serve God with it. But if God gives you a sense of humor, use that sense of humor to help people find Jesus. If God gives you a loving heart and you have a heart of empathy, okay, use that empathy to help somebody find Jesus. Whatever God gave you,
compassion,
use it. Mm-hmm. Use it for Him, and He'll give you more of it. He'll give you more of it, and the way people get mad at God a lot of times is because God gives them a little and says, "Here you go," and instead of using it for His glory, they use it for their own. They use it for their own pleasure, their own whatever. Yeah. And then when that well dries up, because God's like, "Okay, well, I'm not going to get any glory out of that," then we get mad at God.
Yeah.
And we're like, "Well, God, why? I thought you were going to be good, and you were going to do this, and you were going to do that." And it's not that God isn't good. He's good all the time. But God is teaching us how to serve Him every day. And the quicker we learn it, the easier life goes. Yeah. The longer it takes us to learn the lesson, the harder life. Yeah.
He sits on the throne.
Exactly.
So when I sacrifice my time, that doesn't mean I'm going to get more time in return.
Right.
Same thing with seed investments and all the other stuff. You're not going to plant a lot of money in the church.
Right.
And then in return, God's going to pour these riches out on you type thing.
Right.
Like, it doesn't quite work that way. Now, you know that it's in God's hands, and your life is in His hands, and He's not going to just leave you out there to suffer and die for nothing. It's nothing. It's not that.
Right.
But too many times, like, we hear it over and over, and we think that we're right because so many people that we respected have said it. That you need to plant seeds.
Yeah, plant seeds.
You want money? You need to give it away. Yeah, exactly. And the best way to give it away, give it to God.
Yeah.
And because I need another car.
Right.
Give it to God.
Yeah.
And you see these people who use that line, like it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating to hear it as a minister and who's a person who's spent a lot of time in ministry. And trying to help people, and struggled so long with money, it's like that burn,
Right, exactly.
There's a lot of temptation, so I understand, I get it, but in my opinion, that's a failure. It's not about building the bank account of the preachers,
right?
Because the money stays in the church.
Exactly.
We have a set income, and it's not going to increase just because we made a lot of money one week,
right?
That doesn't work that way. But it's about being obedient to God, and it's being obedient to Him. In letting Him guide you and direct you and let the Holy Spirit speak to your heart.
Right.
It's not that God needs to come down and audibly speak to you. His Bible is good enough. It's sufficient.
Yes.
And He doesn't need to add anything to it. And He doesn't need to He's not going to take anything away. So a new conversation isn't what's needed. The Holy Spirit can show us and teach us and all these different things. And it's such a wonderful thing that He's given us. And when we get into the Word, we understand more about Him and understand more about the church and about our duties and our whatever. But the most important thing, like you said, is being obedient.
Being obedient.
And being willing to sacrifice, being willing to do what it is that God has called us to do, which is to be hands and feet and to be active and to be doing something.
Right.
And not just attending church, because that's not that is not the most Christian thing you can do.
Right.
And it's important.
Yeah, sure.
We should go to church. Don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together.
Right.
Don't do that. Don't not go.
Right.
But at the same time, don't let that be the all end all.
Exactly.
That's the thing that you hang your hat on. I'm super proud of.
Don't treat it like you've done God a favor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I showed up on Sunday.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, God. No, that's not how it should
Maui
be.
doesn't work in church. It don't work that way.
No.
You're welcome.
No. To me, every time you come to church, it ought to be like you got an invitation the week before that we're celebrating Jesus. Just like if you had a family member say, hey, come, we're renewing our vows, or it's so-and-so's birthday, or, we're having a surprise party for them, or we're honoring their retirement. We get excited about stuff like that. We're like, oh, man, I want to go. I don't want to miss it because I want to show them how much I love them. I want to show them that I care and that I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
We don't think of God like that. We think of God, well, I better go because, I want him to give me something.
Yeah.
Well, I've never gone to a party like that. I've never gone to someone's like, hey, they're retiring at 50. Oh, I'm going to go. I'm going to see what they give me. I'm going
to see if I get a present.
I'm going to see if I give a present. Yeah. Whose birthday is it? Oh, it's his? Well, maybe he'll give me something.
Oh, man, they got plenty of stuff.
No.
Maybe I can walk away with some gas money.
You go because you want to honor them and you want to love them. God just wants the same. Like, when we go to the house of God, it should be like the psalmist said. Like, I was glad when they said to me, let's go to the house of the Lord. I was excited to go. It wasn't like, well, I'm going to go because I'll do my diligence.
Well,
there you go. Yeah, but yeah.
We've all felt it. I mean, I've felt that
sure.
way.
Yeah. I mean, there's days you're going to feel it.
That's where the sacrifice comes in. It's like, it's not what I want to do, but it's what I'm going to do. Because there's no telling. Like, somebody may need me today.
Yeah. And
I may need him more than I think right now. So I'm going to go. Because I'm going to be obedient to his word.
Right.
And I'm going to let that just play itself out because there's not much else. I'm not going to argue with it. I'm not going to try to figure it out. I'm just going to be obedient to it.
Yeah.
And, that's a...
yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we walk by faith and not by feelings. I mean, there's a lot of times where feelings would have kept me at home.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody would have been up there preaching because I'd be like, well, I just don't feel like it,
Right.
You got to keep going and be obedient. And
that's right.
And God blesses you, for those things. But yeah, I'm excited about our Beyond. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be well. I think it's going to be well received. And I'm praying in our church. And if you're not even a part of our church, you're hearing this on one of our places, go beyond in your church, wherever you're at. Make a challenge yourself to go beyond and push yourself.
And if they won't let you, you come see us.
Yeah. You move here. You can go beyond for us.
We'll let you go beyond.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm excited about what's happening, what's going to happen, what God is doing.
Mm-hmm.
I know those are kind of like phrases that we use often, but if you haven't been to Northgate Church in a while, then you're missing out. Like it's
absolutely.
It's pretty good. Let's see what God is doing. So we are very excited about it. Very excited to continue to partner and continue to just invest in church, in the Northgate Church, and be a part of what's happening. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes,
really.
Absolutely.
A lot of new people coming in, and young people,
right? Which
is cool.
It is cool.
We got to have those strong backs. Carry
the
load,
Yeah.
we got a lot to do.
Yeah.
So,
young blood is good.
It's really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be hungry and young and ready to see what God see what God can do in your life, and we really are honored to have the privilege of being able to walk with people in that. So discipling is a big deal, and we're really looking forward to what God is doing. Once again, if you guys didn't catch, again, if you missed Sunday or you missed Wednesday, I don't think Wednesday goes on YouTube.
We did last night. The men's went. Now the ladies didn't. They were in a different place. So, but the men's is on YouTube. The men's teaching, but the ladies isn't.
Okay. But Sundays for sure.
Yes.
Go check out Northgate Church of God on YouTube. Like and share and do comments. Go wild.
Right.
It's okay. If we don't like it, we just won't read it again. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Say whatever you want to. Go for it.
Exactly.
Not gonna hurt my feelings. But by all means, go check it out. And we do have an app.
Yes.
Do you know the website?
Yeah.
You can download the app.
Yeah, from the website. Let me pull it up real quick. I can
That'd be helpful.
Yeah. So
Throwing a curveball at you.
Yeah, I gotta be nimble on my phone. So, hold on. I gotta type. Type.
But anyway, you keep looking for it.
Okay.
When we get, we'll get the address for you here in just a second. You can download the app and you can follow along with what's happening there. We keep all of our updates and our news or whatever's happening, whatever's going on. We try to get as much information on there as possible, so that everybody at their fingertips, on their phone, has the ability to follow along with what we do at Northgate.
I found it. It's very easy.
I'm still talking, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just found it, so I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oops.
Northgate.churchtrack.com. That's how you found it. Just the word Northgate and then church track, one word. CHURCHTRAC. No K. TRAC.com. That takes you to our website, and it has all our messages, our announcements, my sermon notes from Sunday to Sunday are on there. There's even a place where if you miss Sunday, there's a thing that says, did you miss it? You click it. It'll take it right to our YouTube page. And we will be updating it later on today, and this podcast will be on there.
There you go.
And you can click and listen to the podcast there too.
You go. It's all there. So if you miss anything, there's ways of seeing or hearing or listening to or just kind of catching up with what we're doing here. So, and if you want to support, hey, we got ways to give money too.
Actually, yeah. Sure.
There's lots of stuff on there. Don't get the app or go to the website and check it out.
Right.
Anyway. All right. We want to invite anybody who is out there that may be listening to this. If you have the ability, we are located in Victoria, Texas.
Yes.
If you're anywhere near there. Or you're going to be anywhere near there. We're located in Victoria, Texas. 206 Broadmoor, Victoria, Texas, 77904.
Yep.
So you can put that in your GPS and find it. Come check it out. Come hang out with us. We'd love to have you. And,
absolutely.
We'd love to show you what we do.
Yeah.
Invite you into the house of God and just spend some time with the Northgate Church family. Right. So we'd love to have you come visit. We got coffee and cookies and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But more than that, we have the Word of God. And we have a very good pastor. He's going to have to be quiet for a little bit. We have a good pastor who does a decent job preaching. So come check him out. And
thank you for that high praise.
Just don't let him know what you think afterwards. Just thumbs up him and like, yeah, okay, good job.
Yeah.
And then leave. No, you don't have to leave. Find somebody and make them take you out to dinner or to lunch.
Exactly.
We'll do it. All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for now.
Yeah.
Let's sign off of our Northgate Beyond podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We really appreciate you guys stopping by, and we will see you next week.
Next week.
All right. God bless you, and goodbye.
Goodbye, guys.